English Listening Test. Part 1, designed for B1 learners. This test consists of 20 questions which are divided into 2 parts. I will give you a short instruction at the beginning of each part. Before we get started, take a pen and paper so you can take notes while listening. Are you ready? Let's get started. Part 1, listen to 4 people talk about relationships in their lives. For questions 1 to 8, choose the correct answer. Richard.
When I first started at my current job, I didn't know anyone there. However, I soon got to know Henry, one of my colleagues. We had a lot in common, and before long, we became pretty close. Our conversations weren't just about work, they extended to our personal lives, hobbies, and families. One weekend, he invited me and my wife to a barbecue at his house. It was there that he introduced us to his partner. During the barbecue, my wife and his partner hit it off, finding they shared many interests. They became friends quickly. Unfortunately, over time, my relationship with Henry started to get worse because of some disagreements at work. Eventually, we fell out, and our relationship went back to being just professional. It was awkward because my wife and Henry's partner had become close, but such is life.
Nancy.
I married my high school sweetheart when I was just 22. John was my first and only relationship. We met when we were 16, and we started dating at 17. Unfortunately, after 23 years, our marriage wasn't working any longer, and we decided to part ways after a lifetime together. When we separated, I formed a close bond with a colleague at work. She became my confidant and best friend. One day, she excitedly suggested that she knew the perfect man for me and practically set up a blind date despite my hesitations. She insisted so much that I finally agreed. We decided on a familiar restaurant for the meeting, a place that felt safe and neutral. I was quite nervous because I had never dated anyone other than John. When I walked through the door, I couldn't believe my eyes, it was John. When he saw me, we both started laughing. What are the odds?
Charles.
Back in college, there was this girl I had a huge crush on. We weren't close, just acquaintances, really, but I thought about her in secret all the time. We had common friends and often met here and there on nights out, but I never dared to ask her out. Fast forward a few years, a very close friend of mine introduced me to his new girlfriend, and, to my dismay, it was the same girl I'd been silently admiring from afar. It crushed me a little bit, to be honest, but I tried to be happy for my friend. Time went by, and I received a wedding invitation. Standing there at their wedding, watching my crush becoming my friend's wife, was bittersweet. I was invited to share in their joy, and that's what I decided to focus on.
Mateo.
I used to share an apartment with 3 other people. We started sharing the place when we were university students and became best friends. When we all finished our studies and started to work, we continued living together because we got along very well, and it was difficult to afford an apartment on your own in the city. On a night out, one of my flatmates introduced me to one of his friends, Sarah, and there was an immediate spark there. I asked her out, and we started dating. The connection between us was unbelievable. Now, she's my best friend, and she's the first person I ever went out with, and, hopefully, she'll be the last, because we got married last year.
Part 2. Listen to Lisa talking about living with her ex-boyfriend and answer the true-false questions.
I was living in a shared apartment with my boyfriend, Noah, and another couple, Nicole and Daniel, who were our friends. We just signed a rental agreement to stay there for another 6 months when we broke up. I decided to end it. I just couldn't see us staying together long term. He took it quite badly. In an ideal world, I would have moved out to give him some space, but we just couldn't afford it. Fortunately, there was a little storage room in the apartment, and I moved into that, giving him the master bedroom that we had shared before. There wasn't enough space in it for all my clothes. I have quite a lot of them, so I had to keep going in his room, but I did my best to give him some space. It wasn't easy, for sure. I knew he hoped that we would get back together, and one time, after I'd had a rough day at school and was stressed, I turned to him for comfort. It was just so easy to slip back into old habits, and he was there, and I knew he could give me the support I wanted. But I shouldn't have done that. It gave him false hopes, and things were tense for a while after that. We had agreed that we wouldn't date anyone else while we were living in the same apartment, and I kept my word, but it didn't quite go according to plan. You see, there was a guy at school who I got to know, and there was an instant attraction between us. I was honest with him. I told him I was living with my ex and that it wouldn't be possible to take things further for a while, and he was fine with that. But of course, we flirted, and we often met up for coffee, and then I told Sarah, the friend who we were living with, about him. And one day, we were gossiping about him in the kitchen, and she was asking me all these questions, and I was chatting away, and then Noah walked in. He'd been in the living room and overheard every word. I hadn't realized he was there. It was very awkward. He didn't speak to me for a while after that, and that weekend, he went out partying and brought a girl home. I'm sure he didn't have any feelings for her. It was just him showing he didn't care or pretending to show it. After that, I kept out of his way as much as possible. When we were together, I was distant and polite. And he avoided me too. It wasn't easy, for sure, trying to cook and do the laundry when the other one wasn't in the room. It was hard on our friends too. Gone were the days when we'd hang out in the living room watching TV with takeout and a bottle of wine, playing board games together, or watching a movie. The apartment was very tense. I stayed until the 6 months was up and then moved out. I should have moved out sooner, as it hurt my friendship with Nicole or with all of them. She hasn't reached out to me since then. And I'm sure Adam was glad to see me go. I guess it was natural that we couldn't just end things immediately after being close, but while we were living together, neither of us could move on.
forget to share your score in the comments section. We will upload more listening tests soon, so don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned. See you in our upcoming videos.